I'm on Instagram as Instamatic Louleigh. I'm on Ravelry as Louleigh, and I have a bag shop, a knitting bag shop on Etsy, and that's Shop Louleigh. I want to start this episode by saying thank you very much to Danny from Little Bobbins. She said some lovely kind things about me on her podcast this week, which was really wonderful. And of course say hello to you all. I'm really excited to talk to you this week. I've been really looking forward to it actually. I've had a bit of a clear out here. There's been lots of little projects that have just been lingering round, just like waiting for buttons or blocking or something like that. And there's still a little way to go, but I'm getting there. So there's been some starting and just some fun things happening. The first thing I wanted to do today is actually just to supplement the favourite places to knit by the Bakery Bears. So Dan Jones, this section is for you. I've been reading this book, which is the Vogue Knitting Ultimate Sock Book, and I got this for Christmas. If you've watched the last few episodes, you might be drawing the conclusion that I got a huge swag of books for Christmas, and I did. And this was one of the ones that wasn't actually on my wish list, and it's been really interesting. I've been reading the historical sections of it, but there was a little section about the Romans and their socks that I thought that just tickled my fancy. So let me find a section here and I'll read it out to you. Right, here we go. The practice of wearing socks travelled with the Romans to England, proof of which was discovered during the excavations of Vindolanda, a settlement along Hadrian's Wall, which is where the Bakery Bears have been taking us. There, archaeologists unearthed a small child's cloth booty, as well as a wooden tablet inscribed with a letter to a Roman soldier indicating that the writer had sent a package of socks and sandals. And what really intrigued me was even back in Roman times, they were sending socks to the troops, and I thought that was just really fun. So anyway, that's my supplement for Dan Jones. Do you know what? It's a funny thing. This time I just feel like I've got stage fright massively. Perhaps it was easier when I thought nobody was watching. But anyway, so I've cast on some socks. And the other thing was that I realised that I had forgotten half the stuff. So I've just galloped about the house, making sure I've got everything and just double checking everything as well. So these socks. Every time I pull these out, I just want to go, hooray, hooray, because the stripes are just so fun. This is a yarn by Fab Funky Fibres. And it's her Christmas colourway. Am I doing that thing where I'm holding things too close again? Perhaps I should hold it back here and let it do its job. Anyway, it's Fab Funky Fibres. It's their Christmas colourway, just called Fab Funky Christmas Self-Striping. But personally, I think these stripes are for all year round. These are my little stitch markers that I put in every 20th row. So that I've started doing it on this sock as well, see? So that I don't have to count hundreds of rows at the end. And the pattern is just Tube Socks by Jane Richmond. And these are for my nephew, because he and my brother have this ongoing joke that maybe Santa will just give you socks for Christmas. He's like, ooh, socks. So anyway, I suspect he will pull these out of his package. I'm going to give him for his birthday, not for Christmas. And go, ooh, socks. Aunties are not always benevolent. I'll put other things in this package as well, but I just thought that was quite fun. And I should have enough left to make some more socks for my nieces as well, who are much more appreciative of handmade things, so that would be fun. it was a bit of a wrench to actually give this up for the nephew, because I was kind of looking forward to this for socks for myself, but you know, aunties do these things, they give up their favourite yarns for their nephews. So there we go. Those are my socks for the week. The other thing that I've started, and I've been hanging out for this for ages. I've been stalking the yarn online for about 2 months, and then I ordered it and just had it sitting aside for a month, and I was sort of like, I just have to finish some things. I just have to finish some things, and then I'll start it. And so now I've shot off the starting blocks, and I'm really enjoying it. The pattern is Exploration Station by Stephen West, and it was his mystery knit along from last year, I think it was. You would never get me mixing colours together as a mystery thing. I like to know how it's going to turn out. But even so, I've kind of been playing around with this a bit. This is as far as I've got at the moment. And I'll show you all the colours that I've got here. If I can pull them, maybe I can just hold up my knitting bag, you'll be able to see. I really like all those spring colours there. Can you see those? And that orange one that you can't see very well, that is my absolute favourite. And I had started out by using that orange colour as this sort of, it stripes through in between the wedges there. Maybe you can see that a bit better now. So yeah, I had that apricot colour striping through in between these wedges, and it was kind of disappearing a bit, which I didn't like. So I ripped it back and have started putting the blue in between the wedges, but I'm finding I'd got this wheatberry colourway, sort of like a beige, as the neutral to put in, and I think it's just a bit too heavy. So I have sent away for a neutral colour to put in there. So I'm going to pull that out, and I think that'll show off this lovely, I think it's called Citrus Blossom colour, a little bit better, because otherwise it's just going to disappear in with that beigey browny colour. The yarn is hazelnut, and it's the artesian sock. Let me just make that point here. It's the artesian sock there. It's got a bit of nylon in it, so I was kind of thinking, it is a sock yarn as it says on the label. I was kind of like, is that going to feel nylon-y around my neck? I don't know. I'll find out when I block it in the end, but and give it a bath. But I'm hoping it's just going to be a really nice big sort of spring-coloured shawl, just to put around my shoulders when it gets a bit cold in the summertime. So that's been really exciting. Those wedges are just so moreish. I was up at 1 o'clock in the morning thinking, oh, well, just knit another one, but thought I'd better go to bed because I had work the next day, so that wouldn't have been so good. And I realised when I started this as well that I'd become really workman-like at the knitting. It was sort of like, I need a cardigan, so I will choose ball, find a pattern and knit a cardigan. Whereas this has just been for pleasure, and I've just really enjoyed the pattern. It's been wonderful. So yeah, that's what's going on in that bag. And the last thing I have to talk to you about is spinning. I've been on a bit of a spinning hiatus. When I started spinning and got my wheel and had some spindles, I was doing a little bit every day, probably sometimes just sort of like 5 or 10 minutes or something like that. And then last year I did the Tour de Fleece, and I set myself a pretty hefty goal to spin a whole sweater's worth of yarn. And since then, I just haven't gotten back into it. It was like I just put everything down and ran away. And so then I started just doing a little bit a day again, and plying I find a little bit tricky. I'm not the most coordinated person in the world, and I really like to make a 3-ply yarn because that's what I like to knit with. And I just feel like I'm all arms and legs when I'm doing it. The best suggestion I'd had from somebody was actually to put your bobbins in a bowl just to give them some weight. And so I would have these bowls set out behind me. Oh, good grief. So as much as I enjoyed spinning, the plying was just something that I was doing to get to the yarn. Oh, here comes Bobby. What are you doing? You coming up? Come on. Can you see him? He's there. Oh, you're having a tickle. Oh, you're knocking the microphone. You can't even see the dog. Right, get off me. Get off me. Good lad. He's just sitting over there on the couch. Actually, he's come back for another tickle. Go on the couch. Compared to our other dog, he's so well behaved. Go on your bed. Good boy. He likes to sit on the back of the couch and look out the window, and the neighbour's cat will come over. So if you hear this, woo, then you know that the cat's in our back garden. So I was talking about plying and being all arms and legs and all this sort of thing. And so I had filled up every bobbin that I own with singles and was putting off plying by like nobody's business. And so I have bought myself a new gadget. I treated myself to a brand spanking new Lazy Cake that has all the bells and whistles. And this is let me just check that I get this right. This is the Anything But Lazy Cake by Nancy's Knit Knacks. And it comes, this all packs up into this little box. The wood comes untreated, but I've oiled it just to make it look a bit nicer, and just so it's a bit more durable. So all of this top paraphernalia packs up into the box, and it's really compact. And there are 3 ways with this of putting tension on your bobbins. And first of all is this tilt, and then you can twist these little pigtails so your yarn feeds through here at a bit of a dog leg. And I found that actually is enough for some of the things that I've been doing to put a bit of tension on. But then it's also got this string that you can put around your bobbins, and I have used that as well with a yarn that was particularly twisty, so I didn't get lots of pigtails. It's like a miracle. I actually really enjoyed plying with this, and I've still got some yarns that are sitting around waiting to be plied, but it's actually been pleasurable, so I'm so glad I got it. It was a bit of an investment, but it's been a bit of a game changer for me. It's like plying is something that's quite fun to do now. Now, some of you might be sitting there wondering what the big deal is, and I learned very early on that having a nicely plied yarn and getting it balanced was actually quite important, because if you don't get a balanced yarn, this is what happens. Your knitting actually goes on a bias off to one side. This is a parallelogram more than a rectangle, and so it all sort of skews off in a funny direction. And so, having learnt this in a very sort of visual way, I am quite careful to try and get my yarns balanced so that they don't do that. And I've been pretty successful at it, but that Lazy Cake just makes things a whole lot easier. So I have been spinning away quite happily because a lovely friend of mine gave me a whole lot of little sample packs of fibre, and this has been super fun. When I first started spinning, I bought a pack that had a lot of different British breeds fibre in it, and that was such an education. You just stop looking at sheep as a sheep and think, oh, I wonder what sort of sheep that is, because they all came out so brilliantly, so differently. And at the time, of course, I was a beginner, and so I was just shoving it through my wheel any old how. Whereas now that I've come down the track a bit further, I can kind of look at the fibre and think, okay, how much twist do I want in this, and what sort of yarn do I want to finish up with. And so my lovely friend Linda got all these, I'll pull them out the bags, excuse the rustling, got all these little mini samples, and she's divvied them up between us. And some of them from a company called Hilltop Cloud that does lovely fibre. And these ones that are beautifully prepared and packaged up. Actually, so are Hilltop Clouds. Are from fondant fibre. Oh, there's a bit of it. Hold your hand still, woman. There we go. I hope you can see that. And so I've been having a great time spinning these up. There's only a little bit of I think there's about 25 grams in these ones. And I've got all sorts of fun things that I've not tried before. So this is white Dorset horn, and I've got 2 colours of North Ronaldsy actually, of this one, which I'm quite excited about. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with those yet. I've got some white South Downs, which I have tried before, but I want to do something different with that this time. And I've got some Herdwick, which I've tried before. That was super fun to spin. It's very coarse and very hairy. Oh, but oh my word, it goes through into your wheel at a great rate. And the yarn was really nice when it came out, so I'm really excited about trying that one again. And the first 2 that I've actually done and plied up using my Lazy Kate. So I've done this lovely grey Shetland. Isn't that a pretty colour? And I really enjoyed that. And like I say, I think I can look at the fibre now and have an idea of how I want to set up my wheel to get a nice yarn. And I'm really pleased with the results. I've obviously come along a bit and learnt something. And the last one I want to show you is this Romney. Now, on our farm in New Zealand, my father farmed Romney sheep, and I had never ever spun with this. And so I was really excited to get that little bump and to actually spin it. And now I want a whole fleece. So yeah, and it was just lovely, and it was so nice to spin with. But I think that was partly, it was a lovely combed preparation from fondant fibre, so that was really nice. I'm going to make little samples with these. I like to, even if I'm just spinning a little bump, I like to do a little sample and just see how it works out. So I shall do a little sample with that, and just so I can feel what it's like when it's knitted and kind of made into something. Okay, so those are all the things that I had to show you today. I've been looking at the stats on YouTube, and I noticed that a lot of you have been subscribing. Actually, there was one lady, and she looked like she had her profile picture taken in front of a hobbit hole, and I thought that was just lovely. Yeah, it was like she was going to visit Bilbo Baggins for tea, which was wonderful. So I've been looking at the stats and wondering who's watching. So I have set up a group called louleigh, and you can come along and join and say hello, and that would be wonderful. And what I was thinking was what would be really interesting, if you feel like it, is if you post a picture of where you sit to watch your podcasts, and that would be really fun. If you don't want to do that, then that's okay too. And if you don't want to come and say hi and you're just a lurker, then welcome, and I hope you come again. So yeah, that's me for today, and I hope to talk to you again soon. Bye.